Okay, good evening, everybody. Sorry I'm late. And sorry I'm late. I had a busy day today. Come on. Come on. I just got home, put all my groceries away. Chico, don't start. Oh, sorry to hear that, Ed. Yep. Sorry to hear that. Hang on a second. No, if I call you, I'm live on my show, so I was letting you know, calling you back. All right, I got. Well, because you called me, I thought earlier. It must have been when I was coming into Myers. So. See, everybody wondering. I got a text from one of my mods. There you are. So, yeah, all right. Yeah, I've got everything put away, so in the freezer. So, all right. Thanks. All right. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye. 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 Oh, hey Jerry, Carol. Yeah, I just got home. I had shopping with my sister and my brother-in-law today. Today was payday, so I had to go down to Walmart, and I couldn't leave till 2 o'clock. So I was gone for 4 hours. I got my shopping done and got a new vacuum. I got my T-shirt, my national champion shirt, and got stocked up for my whole month of supplies. So Chico's in the window. So we got a lot to get work. I can't believe I missed 4 hours away, and there's so much stuff I got to get out. I'm behind on the intel. So Billy Bean has two short ones and two 15-minute ones. So I want to get that straightened out. She came out two last night. Trade your favorite crypto app. So I'll get those set up. Shoot. That was one. This is two.
Welcome.
Okay, this is three.
Well,
So yeah, we'll do Billy Bean first. We got two short ones and then two 15-minute ones. Then I got three of the TikTok lady so far. Just getting everything getting everything ready to go here. I didn't have time to get everything straightened out. Carol, I got a 24-minute Nick Shirley video. He's from Chicago. Waiting on Lucy. See if make sure, check her. Oh my goodness. So much intel to share. We got one Doug video. So we are going to get started here. We're going to do the short two Billies from last night and then the two new ones. Uh, oh, going here.
'26 time in Texas about 4:35 p.m.
So this is a flash update. I'd like to say thank you to Becky D for extra support for my channel. President Trump is not playing chicken, and we're hearing the planes are in the air, and they should be arriving in Iran about 8 o'clock tonight, Iran time. And we have this from U.S. Intel. During the course of the Pakistani mediating talks between the U.S., Israel, and Iran,
Chico,
it has
hey.
come out that Iran has used 15,000 missiles and 45,000 drones, which, since we don't know what their total supply is interesting. We do know in the past few days, it's been documented from multiple sources that we're seeing far less missiles and drones being launched by Iran. We know the U.S. and Israel since February 28 have been hitting missile storage locations, launchers, missile and drone manufacturing, drone depots, and so on. So that's going on. And we have this U.S. Intel today about 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Shopping day.
So that would make our time now about 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The B-52 and the B-1 bombers have already taken off from Fairford Base near London, and they will arrive in Iran tonight about 8 o'clock Iranian time. So the planes are in the air.
Last night.
We don't have more details yet, like how many planes and what's going on there. We do have this that also from New York Prepper, we had refuelers scrambled and within a couple of hours ago from Bucharest going to the Middle East. It's believed to participate in these hits on Iran tonight. And we have this today in the U.S. The U.S. military planes over the nuclear code radio channel have been giving out codes back to back. We see that happen when the U.S. is gearing up for strikes, because the transmission of the codes over the U.S. military nuclear code radio channel is to give new targeting data to the planes. So we see that going on. And we have this, that the Strait, it's imperative that the Strait of Hormuz be reopened. And this is not only to maintain global economy, supplies of oil and gas to make gasoline, diesel, and so on, but also to ship fertilizer. And it's being put out by people who work in that industry, that if fertilizer is not on the fields by April 15, within 6 months, famine could occur. So we see many reasons for President Trump taking the strong stance against Iran. And we can say this: we pray that God is with the U.S. military, the Israeli military, with the American people, the Israeli people, and with the people of Iran. And that hopefully this strong action by President Trump, who obviously is not playing chicken, will be to benefit the global economy, global agriculture, and to bring freedom for the people in Iran. So it's good to be in prayer for America, President Trump, the U.S. military, and world peace. I love you, and I'll see you soon.
Okay, I got one more last night, a short one. We might have to play cash, you guys, because he just said 2 hours ago that Iran broke the ceasefire treatment or agreement. So we might have to play that one. That's when we get Billy done. $7 minutes on this one.
April 7, 2026. I'm in Texas about 6 p.m. We have some breaking news. Israel is currently evacuating its government. President Trump remains resolute. And the U.S. government is warning the U.S. civilian grid that includes water and electricity. So let's get started. So we're hearing from U.S. Intel that approximately at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so currently in Texas, it's about 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time would be 1 hour ahead of us. So about an hour ago, 15 planes took off from Tel Aviv, and they were evacuating the Israeli government. Apparently, Israel has some intel about a big hit coming for Israel. Now, it's been my position for years that Iran already has nukes. So that did happen about an hour ago. The Israeli government evacuated the government in 15 planes taking off from Tel Aviv. We don't have details on where they were going. We are receiving this information from regarding the Chinese missiles and drones that have been covertly supplied to Iran via shell companies coming into Iran through Pakistan and through the Caspian Sea. And these include chemicals to make missile fuel and also chips for guidance in missiles. But what we're finding out is that China, are supplying inferior chemicals and inferior chips to Iran, which is causing many of the Iran missiles and drones to malfunction, actually to fall back to the ground or in some cases take out IRGC and in some cases hit civilians in Iran. We've been seeing that occur, and now we have more details on how these chemicals and chips are coming from China into Iran. And we have this from MonkeyWorks, some more details on that recent fabulous rescue of the WIZO, the weapons system officer, who, as I have stated, is a testament to the U.S. military strength and endurance and training. He fell to the earth injured, walked 5 miles to a mountain range, and then climbed 6 to 7.5 miles up the mountain before he was rescued. And we're hearing today Israel has already hit 8 train bridges. And we're learning that the U.S. government military has already spent, since February 28, $42 billion. And we have this. We have all today, late this afternoon, more refuelers going to the Middle East. And it's believed this will be part of the prep. We know that President Trump has said if Iran doesn't make a deal by 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and that's only about 1 hour from now, that the U.S. will take out the power stations and all bridges. It's also believed these refuelers and the hits by the U.S. military on power plants and bridges will also be part of the prep for the U.S. military's ground invasion. And we're hearing that early this morning, about 6:30 this morning, the U.S. military began a ground invasion of Karg Island. And we also have this coming in the last few minutes from U.S. Intel that Iran-affiliated hackers, and we would reasonably have to believe this is China, has targeted the U.S. military tech plus the U.S. civilian tech. So for the U.S. military tech being targeted by China, we have that they are hacking to take down the functionality of the U.S. military programmable logic controls, also called PLC, and to manipulate display data. And we have warnings to the U.S. civilian grids from the FBI, CISA, NSA, EPA, Department of Energy, and U.S. Cybercom for the U.S. civilian power grid and water stations to immediately review and their security, cyber security methods and technology. So this concludes my flash. It's good to be in prayer for America, President Trump, the U.S. military, and...
Okay, those were two from last night. Then we got two today. We got a 14 and a 24. Then I'm going to play a ceasefire one from Cash. It's an important one because I guess they broke the ceasefire agreement. And then I got one from John Downing that was off of Mel's page. Then I'll get back to showing the short ones. Okay. God dang it. Minutes on this one. Yeah, I made it home.
Texas about 4 p.m. President Trump, the U.S. military, continues to prep. And we had Pakistan and other nations negotiating the ceasefire with 3 different groups of Iran. Can it be any wonder why the ceasefire, to begin with, never took place except on the part of the U.S.? And we have the IRGC factions fighting in the streets. So let's get started. So we have today the Iranian parliament member Ghalibaf saying there will be no negotiations Friday. And Israel today took down a Hezbollah leader, Abarnaf. And we have the Iraqi Hezbollah militia in Tehran partying like it's, a past year. And we have this from Israeli News Live. So today, Iran is hitting Israel and its Gulf states neighbors, including the UAE. And after about 6 hours this morning, Iran closed the Strait of Hormuz. They did this by sending messages to ships and saying, don't come into the Strait of Hormuz nor the Gulf of Oman. And we have this, that for which I need my glasses. Okay, we have from Dabu 77. Yeah, there's been big hits all today on Hezbollah in Lebanon and last night by Israel. It's being reported that Israel has killed hundreds inside Lebanon today. And Israel says that Israel was not involved in the negotiation, and that Israel never agreed to a ceasefire to stop hitting Lebanon and the Hezbollah. Hezbollah is a proxy for Iran. And we have this. Yeah. So we have the few ships that were able to pass through for a few hours this morning through the Strait of Hormuz, paid Iran in Bitcoin. And then Iran decides to close the Strait of Hormuz from enforcer. We have that the U.S., as I say, continues to prep. We have many airlift C-17s moving from various bases inside the U.S. to the CENTCOM area in Florida. It's believed there they will be grouped and will make additional hits on the Middle East, as we heard that information come out from General Kane. We know that many of the European nations closed their the U.S. bases in Europe, saying that the U.S. military couldn't use the European bases to make hits on Iran. So now we're hearing also today that President Trump is going to begin closing U.S. military bases in Europe, beginning in either Spain or Germany. Way to go, President Trump. Let the European pukes defend themselves. And we have this. That Israel reports only the U.S. was involved in the ceasefire talks, not Israel. And we have today also that Ukraine has hit additional oil refineries of Russia near the Black Sea. From Max Afterburner, we have the U.S. continues their prep. Today, in the Strait of Hormuz, the U.S. military is using growlers and also the USS Tripoli to take down Iranian radars located on the south coastline of Iran near the Strait of Hormuz. We have this from Deep Dive and former CIA Larry Johnson, that Iran has said if Israel hits Hezbollah in Lebanon, the ceasefire is off. Well, as I'm bringing out, the negotiations apparently between Pakistan, Egypt, China, Turkey, and the U.S. on one side, and on the other side, 3 different Iranian groups. And now it appears that Pakistan presented a list of ceasefire points to the U.S. that was the wrong list of ceasefire agreements and certainly did not reflect the three different Iranian groups. So apparently a ceasefire nor any other agreement can be made now between the U.S. and Iran because there is no one in charge of the country. And we have this, that Israel hit Hezbollah in Lebanon today. I hear many were killed in Lebanon. Numbers are 250 people to 800. We have this from Stephen Gardner. Yes, the U.S. has agreed to a 2-week pause, but it's unknown whether Iran actually agreed to anything because there's no one who speaks for the whole country. And we have this from Glenn Deason, who interviewed Professor Maradi. He is a prof at a university in Tehran, reporting Israel is hitting Hezbollah in Lebanon. And Israel says it was not part of the ceasefire negotiations and that Israel never agreed not to hit Hezbollah in Lebanon. And we have Iran this afternoon, yes, closing the Strait of Hormuz. We have Iran also today hitting many Gulf states and Israel. Iran has hit the UAE, a petroleum refinery. And we have that Israel has hit Hezbollah. Iran closes the strait. And also, just a few minutes ago, Iran hit Kuwait, their power plants and desalination units. And we have this, that in the last 10 hours, Iran has hit Kuwait 4 times, hitting Kuwait's water, oil facilities plus. And that there have been many strikes inside Iran by Israel. Iran has hit the UAE, according to the Minister of Defense, and alerts have been going off for their air defense systems while they try to take down the many missiles and drones coming from Iran. Israel hits an oil refinery in Iran. The IRGC have several factions, the hardliners versus the reformers, and we're hearing they are literally having street fights, fist fights in the streets, the two groups of the IRGC. So we understand the Strait of Hormuz was open for 6 to 9 hours. Payment was made to Iran, and then Iran closed it. We have that Israel has hit IRGC locations in southern Tehran.
The April 15th tax deadline is coming, and your max refund is a few steps away with TurboTax. Plus, the new tax law can boost refunds by up to $1,000. Beat the April 15th tax deadline and get every dollar you deserve with TurboTax.
Quickest way to improve vision.
This is the quickest way to improve vision without drops, surgeries, or injections.
And that
4 minutes.
there's no agreement. As I said, apparently several groups of Iran had a 10-point plan. The U.S. had a 15-point plan. And the plan that Pakistan presented to the U.S. as representing Iran was the wrong Iranian plan. for the ceasefire. So no one who signed anything that was legitimate. IRGC factions fight in the streets. And in Beirut, we have that Israel makes another hit. Israel is now this afternoon in their second wave of hits on Hezbollah in Lebanon. In Isfahan, Iran, there's a protest versus the ceasefire. That would be by the hardliner family groups who are chanting death to the compromiser. And we have Pakistan,
I had a busy day
Egypt,
today.
Turkey, China. We're actually representing the U.S. and taking what the U.S. said back to 2 to 3 different groups of Iran who were all opposed to one another in the negotiation for the ceasefire. It appears that no one in Iran actually agreed to a ceasefire, only the U.S. But we see the U.S. military continuing to prep. And we have this. We have, the U.S. will close a base in Europe. They will close many bases, U.S. military bases in Europe, beginning with Spain or Germany, according to Reuters, White House, and the Pentagon. And we have this, the U.S. military preps and are moving another contingent of Marines from San Diego to the Middle East. And we have several ships received messages from Iran. This just happened in the last hour, that they are to move away from the Strait of Hormuz, ships in both the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman. And that today, Iran launched 7 missiles and drones to hit different locations inside Qatar. Iran is not negotiating Friday in Islamabad. There is no agreement between the several groups inside Iran who it appears did not agree to the ceasefire. And we have Israel today hitting 100 Hezbollah targets in Lebanon. We have Iran today launching 100 missiles and drones to hit Saudi Arabia, UAE, Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, and many were targeted to hit civilian residential areas. So this concludes my flash update. It's good to be in prayer for President America, President Trump, the U.S. military, and world peace. I love you, and I'll see you soon.
So we got 3 out of the 4 cleared off. We got one more 24, but we're going to do the TikTok lady. I got 3 of hers, and we got to get that cast video update one. And then I got a John Downing one off of Mel, 22-minute one too. Spas. It was off Mel page. I don't think I did these 3 here.
I'm just in shock. Fox News has just said that the person that greenlighted these talks is that son, the son of the Iranian leader, the one they thought was badly injured and they said he's gay and all this stuff. That's the same fucking family. That's the same lunatic family that seems to now be in charge. What does this mean for the Iranian people? What does this mean for the Iranian women who are not allowed to dance, who are not allowed to sing, who are not allowed to go to sporting events, who can't file for divorce because if they do, their husbands automatically get custody, who are beaten. What the fuck is going on? I know that President Trump has a plan. I support that, but I thought we were doing regime change. I know that our first priority was saving us from a nuclear bomb, but for God's sakes, these people, thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people lost their lives because this Islamic regime took over. We can't leave this guy in charge. What is going on? And I don't think this ceasefire is going to last long anyway. I don't see this ending well at all. There's talks now that the Iranian people are upset, the ones that want to be free, that they're upset over the ceasefire because they're not free. I thought the people were supposed to go to the streets. I thought the people were going to take over. Good evening, guys. I hate to post another video this quick. I'm just in shock.
Second one here.
The whole thing with Iran. I don't know. Iran is now saying that Israel is shooting at Lebanon, and that wasn't even part of the deal, but now they're going to shut down the strait again. Iran is also stating that they're going to charge $1 per barrel of oil that comes through there. Also, the Iranian people were in the streets burning the American flag after it was announced that there was a truce being made. They said this morning that what's being said between the Trump administration and the Iranian, whoever's in charge, is completely different from what is being put out to the news media. But I'm going to be honest with you, I don't have any faith in Iran. I do not know what's going to happen, but I just don't see them acting right. They're crazy as hell. Also, the left-wing media, the second that Iran caved, of course, they're out there saying Trump caved. He caved. You have called him every name in the book, and I'm going to have to do it in a different way so TikTok doesn't, I don't violate their little community standards because I'm not showing my hoo-ha, okay? Y'all have called him a grapist, a ROTC, a ratophile. Y'all have called him batshit crazy, tried to impeach him, tried to unlive him. The one thing this man is not is someone that backs down. The last thing you can say about President Trump is he's a damn coward. Need I remind you about Maduro? Need I remind you of what this man did when a bullet whizzed past his head and clipped his ear, and the Secret Service was trying to get him to safety, and this man put his damn self out there with the fight sign going on? My president's not a coward, baby. That's the last thing he is. He knows what he's doing. He always has a backup plan. I don't trust Iran. What are your thoughts? And for all of you pearl clutchers that was upset about how Trump talked on Easter, we are at war. Would you rather have a president that have transgenders pulling out their fake breasts and jiggling them up and down in front of the camera on the White House lawn for Easter, or how quickly have we forgotten? Guys, what do you think? What do you think about this little whole thing with Iran?
Yeah, one more, and then we'll get back to Billy.
That Iran is steadily hacking into different agencies, industries, and all kind of different things into the United States. If you Google it right now, you'll see what I'm talking about. Their hackers are working overtime, and I guess this is how they're going to try to get us back or do what they're going to do. They're going to hack into shit. So, as I've said 1,000 times before, it probably means nothing. Probably will be nothing. I would make sure I had water. I'd make sure I have some cash on hand. Make sure. The second thing I want to say is to all of you people on the left that's going to lose your shit. If President Trump does what he said he's going to do tonight at 8 o'clock, right now Pakistan is actively trying to work something out and trying to negotiate. The word is that
Hey,
Iran
Jay,
is saying they do
I had
want
a
to
busy shopping
negotiate,
day today.
but they want a ceasefire. You know, they want it their way.
We'll have them on the show.
Iran is the
I'll check
one
them
who
out.
put their women and children around these power plants and around these bridges. So if what happens, happens, y'all don't be screaming on TikTok that Trump is a murderer and he's all these things. Trump did not put these women around the structures that he has warned them about for a very long time that he was going to take out. Iran did that. Islamic radicalism did that. Okay? Not President Trump. But of course, it don't matter. It won't matter. Y'all gonna blame him for everything, just like y'all are against Trump doing what he's doing, because none of y'all seem to realize that Iran was 10% away from getting a nuclear weapon. What do you think they were going to do with it when they chant death to America? Hell, the generals, kinfolk, ho-ho girls were over here on yachts with their nipples hanging out, hollering about America's the great Satan. Ha ha, the troops were unalive. Well, their asses just got detained and going to be deported, hopefully back to Iran. So see, they got all these women over there, they knocking around and beating around because they show their hair, but then their little ho-hos come over here to the United States, suck off our teat, live lavishly off the blood of their people, and then put down the United States. But see, we don't play that shit anymore over here because this ain't run by riding with Biden. So just keep your eyes open for tonight, guys, around 8 o'clock, which I think is 7 o'clock in the South, I believe. And let's see what happens. Pakistan steadily trying to work something out, and Iran steadily hacking into the United States the whole damn time. These motherfuckers don't care. They don't care if we kill everybody over there. I done told y'all. They would rather die than give up. And that's what we got living right here amongst us. Good afternoon, everybody.
Okay, we're caught up with her. Lucy got 3 of them in. And we got the 4th, Billy Bean, 24. Then we'll get the big one from Cash and then go back and do short videos. And then I got a Nick Shirley, 22, and Downing, 22 minutes. So a lot to cover. You know. $24 minutes.
%50 tariff on Russia, China, and Pakistan. Epic fury equals victory. And the IRGC equal bastards with no balls. And what about the Strait of Hormuz? It's so confusing. We have this from MonkeyWorks that it's been determined that there were explosives in Hungary to hit Hungary's pipeline, and the explosives were U.S. explosives. And I put forth possible that Ukraine tried to bring about a false flag inside Hungary using U.S. explosives and then blame Russia. And this information about the U.S. explosives being planted on Hungary's pipeline inside Hungary comes out via Serbia intel. So that's going on. So yeah, look for Zelensky to not be seen too soon in the future. We have this about space weather. The sun is quiet today, but it's expected, NASA predicts, in the next few days, a G1 geomagnetic storm with a KP index of 5. A KP index of 5 would give auroras to about the top part, northern part of the U.S. We had the MAPS comet coming close to the sun in the last 24 hours and virtually being dissolved. And we have in the U.S., 50% of the U.S. is in a state of drought. We need to pray for spring rains. And a white paper is put out on Space Weather YouTube channel. Looks good, and it is correlating Earth's magnetic fields to human brain development. So yeah, when we're impacted heavily by the sun with strong geomagnetic storms, it does affect human brains. We have this, President Trump now, immediate 50% tariff on all nations aiding and abetting resupply with weapons and chemicals and so forth. So this would certainly apply to Russia, China, and Pakistan, because we know the Chinese resupply is going through Pakistan. And we have this, President Trump, yes, with this 2-week ceasefire we saw take place last night, just before the 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, for the U.S. to take out in Iran. They were going to take out their power plants, bridges, and also their ability to ship their oil on Karg Island. It's now coming out the U.S. military took control of Karg Island yesterday, and that Iran cannot defend Karg Island. So we saw a ceasefire, but we're continuing even today to see Iran strike its Gulf states neighbors, Israel.
If you're getting up multiple times at night to pee, you need to see this. Do this to finally sleep.
And Israel. We also see part of the ceasefire we understood was to apply also to the proxies for Iran, the Houthis in Yemen, Hamas in Gaza, Hezbollah in Lebanon. But Israel is saying that the ceasefire doesn't apply to Hezbollah, and Israel continues to hit Hezbollah in Lebanon. So that's going on, and it's very confusing about the Strait of Hormuz. President Trump said part of the 2-week ceasefire. So Iran has not begun the ceasefire yet. Iran continues even today, as they did last night, to hit their Gulf states neighbors and Israel. Opening, President Trump said the 2-week ceasefire was contingent on the immediate opening of the Strait of Hormuz. Now, it's unclear today what this means. President Trump and we saw Secretary of War Hegseth and General Kane saying that the U.S. military is not going anywhere immediately. It's not withdrawing from the Middle East. And indeed, the U.S. military continues to place resources and troops in the Middle East. But we're hearing that the U.S. military will guard the Strait of Hormuz. Now, what's unclear is that whether Iran will continue to charge money for ships to go through the Strait of Hormuz. That has not been put forth by any source as to what that exactly means. So I'm sure WhatsApp was shipping will be monitoring this and can give us more objective data later today as to whether ships are going through, are they being charged money by Iran, and is the U.S. military there? I expect, since President Trump said the U.S. military is going to be in the Strait of Hormuz, that they will be. And we have this. Yeah, the U.S. military in epic fury campaign against Iran has only used 10% of the total U.S. military force, and that the U.S. military considers to date that Epic Fury is a victory and has achieved the military goals for the U.S. military. The U.S. has taken down or substantially degraded Iran's Navy, Air Force, air defense, missile and drone manufacturing. And it's coming out that Iran tried many times to hit the Lincoln carrier group, but the Lincoln took down all such strikes miles from the Lincoln. And we have this. The U.S. States that it will remove all enriched uranium from Iran. So we have the 2-week ceasefire. We have the U.S. putting forth a 15-point plan. We have Iran putting forth a 10-point plan. But the U.S. is resolute that part of any eventual agreement will involve the U.S. coming into Iran and removing its enriched uranium. Epic Fury is a historic U.S. military victory, according to General Kane, and that the U.S. has demonstrated a concrete example of the U.S. military's force and capability during its daring thunder run into Iran, 7 hours in daylight, 7 hours at night, to rescue a downed pilot and Weasel, a weapons system officer. And we did that amazing event, rescuing the pilot and Weasel, and the U.S. military received 0 casualties. God is good, and God is with America. So Epic.
I've built my career auditing for quality and efficiency. We operate in 67 countries around the world.
Fury equals victory. And we note this morning from the briefing by Secretary of War Hegseth and General Kane that attribution is given to God and glory be to God. And we have this from General Kane. The ceasefire simply equals a pause. The U.S. military is not going anywhere. And the U.S. military has taken down 2,000 Iranian command control nodes. And the U.S. military has taken down 150 Iranian Navy ships and 1/2 of Iran's small boats. And we have the U.S. military has taken down 90% of weapons manufacturing, 80% of drone manufacturing. The U.S. military still maintains 50,000 plus troops in the Middle East. The U.S. military, since February 28th, has made 10,000 strikes on Iran, hitting 13,000 targets. And most of these were 30-hour missions, and the U.S. military did this 18 times. And regarding the rescue of the pilot and the Weasel, demonstrates U.S. military's tenacity, creativity, and grit. And it equals who we are, according to General Kane. And that Iran will hand over their nuclear material. There is a new Iranian regime, and what that exactly means, we do not know. We know the IRGC appears to continue to be in control, a regime that machine guns down unarmed civilians in its streets. And what the opening of the Strait of Hormuz is, I have questions about, as I've put forth. Now, we're continuing to see, we know the ceasefire really began last night at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time for the U.S., but Iran has not ceased fire even today. They continued last night, and they're continuing today. And it's coming out, according to the U.S. military, that Iran cannot defend Karg Island. Karg Island, so we have the Strait of Hormuz, go inland to over the Persian Gulf, 300 miles, you have Karg Island. On Karg Island, 90% of Iran's oil is piped and put into tankers. If it were destroyed, it would destroy the economy of Iran. And we saw yesterday the U.S. military taking control of Karg. And we have the U.S. military today saying Iran, the IRGC, cannot defend Karg Island. Now, we know involved in that recent takedown of the F-15 Strike Eagle, where we had to rescue the pilot and Wezo, the plane was taken down by manpads, a shoulder-operated missile launcher. The U.S. military is assessing what happened. And I can assure you, the way the U.S. military operates, that will not happen again. We have from China Observer, April 1, we had the Pentagon coming out saying that they were putting forth a new program against the CCP in China. It's called Cognitive Warfare versus the CCP. And the CCP engages in asymmetric warfare using cognitive tools such as propaganda, digital, and so forth. It involves assaulting not the Chinese people for sure. The CCP's number one enemy.
If you can't catch your breath and treatments aren't working, you have mucus plugs, dense blockages, suffocating your airways like
is inside China, and it's the Chinese people. Outside China, China's number one enemy is the U.S. And CCP uses cognitive, psychological, and legal means, propaganda, media, saturation, to influence its own people and other populations. And the CCP, it's important to remember, is not equal to the Chinese people. The Chinese people are as controlled and enslaved inside China as the Iranian people are inside Iran. And the U.S. will use AI and digital warfare against the CCP. And also, as we have seen with our own lying eyes, what happened to the Chinese touted radars and weapons. We saw what happened when they came into actual combat by the U.S. military in Venezuela and Iran. The Chinese weapons did nothing. And we have this, a 2-week ceasefire. When the U.S. began the ceasefire last night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, when Iran will begin to actually enact the ceasefire is unknown. And we have the U.S. and Israel militaries. A ceasefire will be good for both the U.S. and Israel militaries to regroup and be ready to come out of the chute, as we would see in a a U.S. rodeo. And yes, so Iran, let it be known by all that what we saw yesterday was the IRGC, a group of men who masquerade as an elite military force. And yet we saw yesterday with our own lying eyes, this group of men using women and children as human shields. So we have a group of men who masquerade as an elite military force, but demonstrate themselves to be bastards with no balls. And we have this.
Hey, what was that about?
So we had last night, we had hits on Israel and the Gulf states, and we're continuing to see it today. We also saw last night via Tusi TV a message from Reza Pahlavi, who it's believed is to lead a new government in Iran, supported by the U.S. Government and military. Reza Pahlavi gave a message to the Iranian people and to the Iranian military. The Iranian military is separate from the IRGC. And essentially, he was saying to the Iranian military, now is your time to rise on behalf of the Iranian people and take out the IRGC. Men who are bastards with no balls.
Hey, that's your
easy.
favorite word now,
And
okay?
yeah, President Trump okayed a ceasefire last night that was being negotiated through Pakistan. And we have this. We have, the U.S. has a 15-point plan. Iran has a 10-point plan. So those are being negotiated. But we saw last night the IRGC attacking UAE and Israel. And we're seeing them continuing to do the same today. And also hitting the U.S. Embassy near Baghdad, Iraq. And we also saw inside Iraq, we saw the IRGC militia buildings being hit, their headquarters, and it's believed this might have been done by the Iranian Nationals Kurds group. And Reza Pahlavi, yes, gave a message to the Iranian military last night also.
4 minutes.
To defend the Iranian people against the IRGC and the IRGC mercenaries. They called into Iran from Afghanistan, Iraq, and the UK. And currently, inside the IRGC, civil war continues between the hardliners and the reformers. Sun Tzu, Art of War. If you see your enemy destroying himself, stand back. We have good news regarding the American journalist, Shelley Kittleson, who was kidnapped by the IRGC in Iraq. She's being released. Of course, she had to make a public confession. We've seen that on video. So she's done that. We understand she is to be released. No doubt, the U.S. was negotiating this release. And it's believed she was to be released today. And we've seen the IRGC launch attacks last night and today on Tel Aviv, Israel, and Saudi Arabia and UAE. We have a 2-week ceasefire that's contingent No ceasefire unless the Strait of Hormuz is immediately opened. What is not clear, and the U.S. military will also be guarding the Strait of Hormuz, and it's unclear if Iran is going to continue to charge ships to go through. So that's going on. And we have this. Oil immediately took a downward plunge in price upon hearing last night about the ceasefire. So that's good for world economy. And we have this. We have that, Iran has hit or tried to hit Kuwait's power plants and desalination unit that makes water, cleans salt water to make it potable, drinkable for humans. So Iran continues to hit Israel and its Gulf states neighbors. And Israel last night was hit by Iran after the ceasefire by Iran cluster bombs. Israel then responded with hits on Iran. So that continues today. We've also heard about 5 explosions near the U.S. Embassy located near Baghdad, Iraq. But the U.S. Embassy was evac some weeks ago. But the hit by Iran on Kuwait last night caused Kuwait to lose power. And we're hearing, today that we have a ceasefire. The U.S. stopped last night. Iran has yet to stop. And the ceasefire, according to President Trump, is contingent today on the Strait of Hormuz being open. So we'll see how that goes. So it's good to be in prayer for America, President Trump, the U.S. military, and world peace. I love you, and I'll see you soon.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, she got some new words now. Wonder what the deal with that. I hope she's not going to be, I don't know where that come from. I guess one word's okay, but if she gets more. But we're caught up with Billy Bean now. Cash has an important video I want to get out, and then we'll get to John Downey. Then we'll get the shorts, a couple penny. I'll probably do a morning show tomorrow.
Went into effect.
This is 2 hours after the ceasefire.
What you just saw there was an Iranian ballistic missile with a cluster warhead, those bomblets raining down on Israel's second largest city of Tel Aviv. This came after the ceasefire was announced by President Trump, and an indication that it will take time to get this agreement.
Because they're not abiding by it.
We start with breaking news. State media reports that Iran has halted the passage of oil tankers through the Strait of Hormuz after Israeli attacks on Hezbollah in Lebanon. Earlier today, we know 2 vessels were able to go through this passageway. But again, state media is reporting that the Iranians are choking off the strait. I just got off the phone with a senior Israeli official who was sounding the alarm about this action by the Iranians, saying only just a few hours into this ceasefire, the Iranians are already showing that they are trying to leverage their control over the strait and put pressure on global energy trade. And it also comes after reports overnight indicate that an Iranian attack hit Saudi Arabia's east-to-west oil pipeline, and there was significant damage that was currently being assessed. This is important because this pipeline is the only outlet for Saudi crude exports. And as the Iranians are putting pressure on the strait, they once again are trying to leverage this ability to put pressure on global energy exports.
They're not supposed to do this.
After we got a new statement from President Trump this morning about Iran's nuclear program. The president on Truth Social said the United States will work closely with Iran, which we have determined has gone through what they will be a very productive regime change.
I hope so.
There will be no enrichment of uranium, and the United States will, working with Iran, dig up and remove all of the deeply buried nuclear dust.
Okay.
The president referring to Iran's enriched uranium there. And again, a lot of moving parts with this agreement that is very new. We saw overnight new strikes against Iranian oil infrastructure on Lavan Island. This is just off the coast of Iran. A refinery there was reportedly hit in early morning attacks. We don't know which country is responsible for the strikes, but we do know it comes after the Iranians broke the ceasefire hours after President Trump announced it.
What kind of ceasefire gets broken hours after it's agreed to by anyone other than a bad faith actor?
Jesse, as anticipated, the sirens are now wailing over Tel Aviv, indicating that another missile is inbound. And it looks like those bright lights in the sky are the missiles.
Oh, no.
And it looks like you can see an interceptor that is in hot pursuit.
So they're firing
of the missiles. And it's always quite dramatic when you see those interceptors going after it. And these ones might disappear behind our building here, and we're going to lose sight of them. But we saw two lights in the sky.
Oh.
There. And there was another flash.
That's a big bang.
Here.
Maybe the remnants of the Iranian regime either didn't get the memo or they did and they don't care.
Well, if they got the memo and this is how we're acting, I think we know the answer to that. But the White House says the strait is open and that reporting to the contrary is not 100% correct.
With respect to the first reporting out of Iranian state media, the president was made aware of those reports before I came to the podium. That is completely unacceptable. And again, this is a case of what they're saying publicly is different privately. We have seen an uptick of traffic in the Strait today. And I will reiterate the president's expectation and demand that the Strait of Hormuz is reopened immediately, quickly and safely. That is his expectation. It has been relayed to him privately that is what's taking place, and these reports publicly are false.
I guess time will tell. Meanwhile, Israel says they're not willing to lay down their arms if they get attacked.
We're looking at a number of different fronts here, and the Israelis are preparing for the possibility of more incoming fire. But I do want to bring up this post by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu overnight, who agreed with President Trump about this ceasefire with Iran. The prime minister said in part, quote, Israel also supports the U.S. effort to ensure that Iran no longer poses a nuclear, missile, and terror threat to America, Israel, Iran's Arab neighbors, and the world. The 2-week ceasefire does not include Lebanon. Now, we heard from the president through reports earlier today who agreed with the prime minister. Hezbollah and Israel are expected to...
This is what's crazy. People are being told in Iran that this ceasefire means they've won. Look at this. Yeah.
Crowds gathering.
They think they won.
State television announced a pause to the fighting.
But these are the radicals.
Framing the ceasefire as a crushing defeat for the United States. This woman saying America has realized that Iran is a superpower. After Donald Trump posted, I agree to suspend the bombing and attack of Iran for a period of 2 weeks.
So they're being propagandized.
This will be a double-sided ceasefire. The deal subject to the Islamic Republic of Iran agreeing to the complete, immediate, and safe opening of the Strait of Hormuz.
We know that hasn't happened.
That it leads to a permanent de-escalation. We're already seeing a substantial impact of a war, which is on the other side of the world, but is having an impact on Australians here.
The announcement
they need that oil in
90
Australia.
minutes before the president's deadline for Iran to make a deal or he'd unleash hell was due to expire.
I don't know if we have a deal.
Whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again.
That was the ultimatum that the president put on the table. And now people are wondering, did the ceasefire ever, was it even real to begin with?
Exchange blows. What you are looking at here is the Iranian capital of Tehran. Early this morning, pro-regime demonstrators took to the streets. They chanted death to America and death to Israel. They were chanting victory and burning American flags. It gives you a sense of the regime support that still exists in the Iranian capital.
They're always going to have
some.
some.
When we go out here to this image of the Lebanese capital of Beirut, we may even have some live images for you here. Smoke was rising from the horizon of southern Beirut, the Dakhia neighborhood, earlier today. While the ceasefire is in place between Israel, the United States, and Iran, the Israelis launched what they are calling the largest round of strikes since their operation began. More than 100 different targets hit across Lebanon. There are first responders there on the scene. These are live images from the Lebanese capital of Beirut. Remember, this is the Dakhia neighborhood of southern Beirut, a Hezbollah stronghold. Officials there in Beirut say.
So, okay, here's the thing. For Iran to say, oh, Israel is still at war with this hate proxy group that we're funding, and that means they're at war with us, therefore the ceasefire is not happening. If they're going to act like that, we got some real problems, because you don't have a ceasefire with a hate regime in another country that's doing its own thing.
And the Iranians, once again, through state media, are threatening direct retaliation against Israel for this strike against their largest proxy in the region.
Propaganda.
I got to tell you, this is the least ceasefire-like ceasefire I think that anybody might have anticipated. Iran certainly doesn't see it that way. Obviously, look, you had some breaking news, and I want to push in on it. Was it overnight, you said, that Saudi Arabia's east-west oil pipeline, very critical.
Why'd they attack them again?
Movement of oil there was hit by Iran. Was that before or after the ceasefire?
At Michigan Auto Law, it's not about the awards.
But we did win Best Lawyers in America, like several times.
Good question.
We don't know the exact timing of that strike, but it's very significant.
So it was close.
This is the main pipeline that Saudi Arabia uses to move oil. And when the Strait of Hormuz
terrible.
is choked off, it's the only pipeline that they're able to use to get.
So look, if they're going to attack Saudi Arabia, either after the ceasefire or just before the ceasefire, they're not even in the conflict. There should already be a ceasefire with Saudi Arabia.
Those exports out to the world. Something important here that we should note, it wasn't just Israel that came under attack after the ceasefire went into effect. This morning, there were dozens of drones launched at Kuwait from Iranian territory. The United Arab Emirates also came under an Iranian missile attack. There were reports of missiles toward Bahrain and Qatar. So as this is taking place, the Iranians don't appear very serious about this ceasefire agreement. The president has offered them a good faith opportunity, a window of 2 weeks to reach a broader agreement. And we heard from the president before about Iran's nuclear program.
They're already
I spoke with
rebuilding
Israeli
it,
officials
probably.
earlier today. They said despite these attacks on energy infrastructure across the region, the number one priority for the Israeli military echelon and government is the enriched uranium. They understand that the Iranians were pursuing a nuclear weapon before, and they say that if that enriched uranium remains in the country, that in the future, Iran could be the new North Korea.
Which would be a disaster.
General Jack Haynes, our senior strategic analyst and retired
This guy's not
four-star
happy.
general. So what do you think went down during this deadline?
I don't trust the Iranians at all.
No.
The president doesn't trust them either. He's negotiated with them time and time again. He knows they're liars and cheats.
Yeah, right.
So this comes down to the deal itself and what's in it and the verification for it. The Iranians are experts at obfuscating and delaying deals.
Yeah.
And they lie and promise and don't deliver.
Yep.
So there's a lot wrapped up in the deal. My preference would have been to keep the war going as leverage to make that deal.
It sounds like
But
it
we
is
are
still
where
going.
we are now, and we're in a ceasefire, and it comes down to all the points in making that deal for sure, and we'll see how that turns out.
Yeah.
It looks like the president is getting indications from the Iranians that they're willing to concede on all of those points.
The problem is you've got the regime fractured right now. You've got the people who are negotiating with the president who are in control of, I guess, most of the country and most of the military. But then you've got these rogue elements out there that are still kind of doing their own thing. You've got a split between people who are the old hardliners who are being forced out and who are losing their power, and the people that are in charge and are apparently much more reasonable.
I don't dispute the fact that people are saying that. Whether they actually do it is another matter, and that's my concern about this. And the president and his team knows who they're dealing with. So we're going to have to hold their feet to the fire, and if this blows up in our face, we have to have the stomach to finish this militarily.
Yeah.
And the Iranians are counting on the fact, I think where they're coming from, delay, obfuscate,
and rebuild.
The fact that the Americans have stopped and the straits are open and ships are starting to flow again, that we would not have the stomach to go back and return to military operations.
We'll see.
That, I think, is their strategy.
Yeah, it is.
And we'll see if that unfolds. We'll know pretty quickly when it gets down to the actual fine points of the deal and how we verify it and the concessions they're willing to make.
I think that what this is going to hinge on is who's really running the country. Are the people negotiating the ceasefire trying to stop these rampant attacks that are still happening? Do we have rogue elements of the military who were upset with a ceasefire and pressed the button right before the deadline, or pressed it after the deadline, acted like they didn't get the message?
And we'll see what that is. But I am skeptical about where we're heading with the Iranians because I flat don't trust them. And I don't like taking the pressure off them by going to a ceasefire, which is what they want in any
so
event,
they could regroup.
to force the United States to stop the war. And we have done that, admittedly only temporarily, but we got to see what's in that deal.
General, it sounds like you think the ceasefire is not going to last.
It's already over.
And if it doesn't last and it blows up, what do you think the U.S. military posture should be?
Going to have to do what Trump said was going to happen.
Well, we have to finish what we started.
Yep, and that's
the
it.
The Israelis need about 10 days to 2 weeks. We're about the same. There's still lots of targets out there for the hit in the minds of military commanders.
Yep.
And I really do think if the deal blows up, it comes down to Carg Island. And
which was already
forcing either take control of Carg Island and take control of the distribution of oil, or destroy it and force an economic collapse. Either you take control of Carg Island and then you have the leverage to bend them to our will and actually force them into a position that we truly want. And that sets the regime, I think, on a path to regime collapse.
That would require a boots-on-the-ground invasion, not of the mainland, but of this little oil island hub where 90% of Iran's oil travels through. If you get your hands on that, you basically got your hands on the economic apparatus of the entire country, because it's a special deep water port where multiple ships can show up, load up with oil, and then transit the strait. If you take that, you take the money-making apparatus that has propped up this regime for decades, and they can't be propped up anymore. But now the question is, did President Trump know they were going to lie and break the ceasefire? Is that going to be an excuse for a further escalation in this conflict? Some people think so.
No way we can know that for sure, and we've said that from the outset.
You don't think
if we can get a deal?
You don't think
we can get a deal that takes everything away that we would do militarily? That's another matter. But I'm suggesting that remains to be seen. And the president's made a decision here. We got to play it out to see what happens.
You don't think this could be a misdirection on behalf of the administration
It's not over,
to take Carg?
I think so.
Deploy a more aggressive option.
But we don't know.
Because they might expect the Iranians to cheat.
But they gave them the opportunity not to. That's the important thing to understand here. So it's not that this is some scam that Trump has to prolong the war. He's got a ceasefire. It was agreed to. Everyone said it was agreed to. And so far, the Iranians have broken it, but the United States has not retaliated. So there's no scam. There's no sleight of hand going on here. Perhaps them breaking the ceasefire was expected, but it has now happened. If it had not happened, we wouldn't be talking about an invasion of Carg Island, because this thing would be over.
Well, listen.
Join Planet Fitness for 1 cent down, $15 a month. No commitment. Deal ends Friday, April 10th.
Big news. Mint just launched Home Minternet. 5G home internet for $30.
This much I know. The president is very clear-eyed here. He knows who he's dealing with, and he knows the value of Carg Island. And in my mind, he knows full well he can take control of it or he can destroy it. And he knows it is a seminal point in Iran's future. And yes, he realizes exactly what a strategic asset that is, and he can take ownership or destroy it at will. So yes, he always has that card to play, and he knows it.
Okay.
Interesting.
The talk around town was war crimes.
Sure.
I didn't know
What time
blowing
is
up a
that?
bridge was a war crime. There's been a ton of past presidents and a lot of wars that have hit bridges, that have hit power plants. How did you process hearing all that?
It's regime architecture.
Well, look, we know our president.
And I
right?
just wonder what state.
He uses rich and colorful language, and he uses it as leverage in negotiations. And I think a lot of that was at play here.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean for a minute that he's not going to use maximum military force to crush this regime. He certainly intended to do that.
And he said he was going to do that. Now, look, the world was up looking at the clock last night, hoping that what we're looking at today was not going to happen, hoping that there would be sensible heads prevailing. The world wanted a ceasefire. I guess the only question now is, did the regime want the ceasefire, or did they just agree to it temporarily to then immediately break it? Here we have the reporting of all of the Gulf allies, it looks like, being hit after this truce. And we've got some images of the destruction. The defense ministry said in a statement that sounds of explosions were heard in different areas and across the country, caused by air defense systems intercepting ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and unmanned aerial vehicles. So you've got 3 different types of ordnance getting launched all at once at the same country. That doesn't look like a ceasefire. That looks like a coordinated effort from multiple offensive weapon systems in Iran to continue this conflict. What do you think it means? Do you think this thing is going to stop anytime soon? Do you think that Trump is going to have to invade Carg Island? Do you think we're back to where we were before this deal even happened, and that the regime was just trying to buy time? Let me know. I'll see you in the next video.
Okay. I thought we had to get that one out. That was a big video. Okay, time for short ones, and we'll get to Mel's one she had on her page with John Downing. Dang it. You guys will like this one.
And want to remove the president using the 25th Amendment. Of course she has. Her widow feelings got
Can you
hurt.
believe that, you guys?
After the president threatens Iran if they do not make a deal, lawmakers are calling for the use of the 25th Amendment. These people are absolutely out of control. They're always filing something against this president and his administration. How about the Democrats encourage Iran to make a deal? And Ilhan Omar called President Trump an unhinged lunatic. Miss Ma'am, what are you? You're a corrupt lunatic. And you've become rich off the backs of the American people. But that is acceptable by your party. Y'all can think and feel however you want to. Throwing hissy fits and temper tantrums is not going to change the fact Donald Trump is still the president. And Republicans are not going to go along with your bid to remove him using the 25th Amendment. Y'all have a good evening now. God bless you. Marjorie Taylor Greene has joined.
She only does a minute videos. Okay, Kay, this next 3 are the one or the lady that I was telling you about.
It's 2 weeks, but alarms are going off in Israel right now because Iran is sending missiles. And the head of Iran's National Security Council said this: "We told you from the start there is no option but surrender to the great Iran." So far, there's been cluster missiles above Tel Aviv, sirens going off in Kuwait, sirens going off in Bahrain, sirens in the capital of Saudi Arabia, sirens going off in Qatar, air defense activity over Prince Sultan's air base in Saudi Arabia. I mean, Iran did tell everybody to evacuate from entire countries in the Middle East, like UAE, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Kuwait, and Qatar earlier today. And now they're getting lit up. I guess Iran missed the whole ceasefire announcement. And as I'm making this video, Tehran is now getting striked. There's also been explosions at the Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia. Amir Tesfati said Iran has been out of control over the past 30 minutes as expected if there were no ceasefire. So was there really a ceasefire? Or is Trump just saying there is like he has done so many other times? Listen up. So social today. A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. However, now that we have complete and total regime change, where different, smarter, and less radicalized minds prevail, maybe something revolutionarily wonderful can happen. Who knows? We will find out tonight. One of the most important moments in the long and complex history of the world, 47 years of extortion, corruption, and death, will finally end. God bless the great people of Iran. So in the same post, he is saying a whole civilization will die. And then he says, God bless the people of Iran. Now, we know that Trump has given Iran until 8 p.m. tonight, or he will blow them up. Now, he's threatened the power plants, but there's a video today of Iran showing human chains being formed with women and children in front of the power plants. So if the U.S. does blow these places up, it's going to be worse than the U.S. attack on the girls' school. Now, Iran is telling people to evacuate entire countries in the Middle East, including the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Kuwait, and Qatar. And with Trump's threat, Iran told him to pound sand. So I'm not sure what he's talking about with a regime change. And if Trump does blow up the power plants, a humanitarian catastrophe for Tehran with millions struggling to get food and global financial Armageddon will happen, among many women and children dying.
The entire country could be taken out in one night, and that night might be tomorrow night. I hate to do it, but we're obliterating, and they just don't want to say uncle. They don't want to cry, as the expression goes, uncle, but they will. And if they don't, then they'll have no bridges, they'll have no power plants, they'll have no anything. I won't go further because there are other things that are worse than those two. And we might have, well, the thing, if I had my choice, what would I like to do? Take the oil. Because it's there for the taking. There's not a thing they can do about it. Unfortunately, the American people would like to see us come home. If it were up to me, I'd take the oil, I'd keep the oil, I would make plenty of money. And I'd also take care of the people of Iran, much better than they...
Right there, he's pretty much saying the American people don't want to die to take the oil. Because, no, we don't. And then he talks about taking care of the Iranian people, while, on the other hand, talking about annihilating them. Nothing he said.
Okay, that was, I think I got one more. See if I got one more or not. Okay, we're caught up with her. She only does a minute clip.
And I'm sure 70 plus lawmakers were a little bit disheartened with what took place this evening. And President Trump proved to us all that he really is the art of the deal, as he threatened, as he put pressure, as he had a goal in mind, and as he was able to cut a deal with the leaders of Iran. They knew today was bridge and power plant day. They also were warned by 8 p.m. Eastern time, if there was no deal made, civilization in Iran could come to an end. What did the Iranian leaders do today? They placed women and children around the power plants. There were images of mothers holding their children's hands in a circle around the power plant. They knew the power plant could be a place that could be bombed, but they put their most vulnerable out. That shows exactly what type of individuals these are. They knew military aircraft were in the sky. B-52 bombers were on their way from the United Kingdom if they were called upon. The Iranian leaders thankfully caved. They gave in to the pressure, and they agreed to open up the strait. We've been dealing with this war for over 4 weeks. Typically in the Strait of Hormuz, there are over 100 vessels of oil flowing through. Now we're down to 3. They caved. They said, yes, we'll open this up, get the oils flowing, a ceasefire for 2 weeks. Now I'm wondering if the Democratic leaders are still going to try to impeach President Trump. Maybe they should be thankful for what he's doing, because he's not just doing it for the United States. He's doing it for the whole world, especially for the people living under this regime. 70 plus Democrats.
Okay, another good one from her. Okay, Nick Shirley time from Chicago. Let me know if you guys haven't seen it yet. I think it just came out today. the heck? Long commercial.
Maybe closer than you think. What to take care of this problem and get these people
This
back
one
to where they
is
came from.
20.
The citizens of
Three, I
Chicago cannot afford to continue to subsidize this human trafficking operation.
Does anybody see this
could
one?
they come in here and take the migrants away, or is it?
Yes and no. So we're a sanctuary city. Our sanctuary city ordinance prevents the Chicago Police Department from working directly with ICE. So if they catch an illegal, they can't say this person is illegal. ICE, come get them. So this is why we have people who are here illegally committing crimes over and over again without any federal intervention.
And have there been a lot of cases where migrants have committed some pretty grievous crimes here?
Yes, the most egregious crime that I've seen committed thus far is a woman was raped at 7 p.m. on the Chicago sidewalk by a migrant as she got off of the train. And I want to point out that these are not migrants, these are illegal immigrants. Our grandparents were migrants when they left the South to come to Chicago. A migrant is someone who's within the country who moves from one space to another space for economic purposes. These people are illegal immigrants because they chose to be illegally trafficked here. So I just want to make that straight. These are not migrants.
Yeah, I had to go
Why do you think the
shopping all
news-
day
why do you
with
think
my
y'all are saying
sister and
migrants, or now they're
brother-in-law.
saying even newcomers?
Because they are trying to they're trying to run a psych op on the
got home
people
at 6.
to make us believe that the crimes that they've committed are not as bad as they actually are. So you call them a migrant, you're thinking, oh, well, they're just moving from one section to another section. No, these are illegal immigrants. They chose to bypass our system and be illegally trafficked into our country.
And people like you, people that live here in Chicago, are the majority of Chicago's people, are they welcoming these people, or are they wanting
Absolutely not. We wanted them out. So we asked the city council to make a referendum asking Chicago, should Chicago remain a sanctuary city, yes or no? The city council declined to give us that referendum because they knew that if they were to put that on the ballot, there would be a resounding no, go home. Again, we are taking tax funds away from our people, and we're giving it to people who don't deserve it, who have never paid any taxes here, who have never battled the system, people who have never voted. Our people have been here for a long time paying into the tax base legally, and now we're seeing that criminality is rewarded via
What
tax
do you guys
dollars in
think of this
Chicago.
one?
How much money is a person
This is
like
a
you,
new one, I
or
think.
the average
Yeah,
Chicago
just
person having
came
to pay
out
in taxes
today.
here? How much of your dollars is getting sent to
Well, I'm not
taxes?
sure because we get property tax bills. We are paying a bag tax of 7 cents per bag. There are just a lot of different tax structures here. Chicago's a very expensive city, but I'll give you one example. The opioid crisis has decimated Chicago, and that's because Chicago is the epicenter of the Mexican cartel. They chose the west side of Chicago specifically for their headquarters for 3 reasons. One, all roads in America lead to the west side of Chicago. That's why we have the Loop, which is on the west side. We also have a high Black male unemployment rate in the fact that we're a sanctuary city. So because we are selling over $1 billion of heroin a year from our neighborhoods, 90% of the heroin in this country is trafficked off the west side of Chicago. That creates a narco kind of culture. So we got a settlement from the opioid companies, and they were supposed to build rehabs and rebuild communities that were decimated by the opioid crisis. Well, our mayor took that $51 million and he gave it to the illegals. So now citizens who are still suffering with addiction didn't get the services that they were promised. Yeah.
And do you think with the narcos and with the cartel being here in Chicago, do you think a lot of these people that are coming over are being told to go to Chicago so they can work with the cartel?
Absolutely. They're importing their own workforce, because what happened is the reason that El Chapo is in prison right now at this very moment is because there was a black guy on the west side of Chicago who was caught with drugs. The Chicago Police Department said, "Where did you get these drugs from?" He said, "I bought them from these twins over in Little Village." So the Chicago Police Department goes over, they start to investigate the twins in Little Village, where these were actually El Chapo's number 1 and number 2 guys in the United States. So this goes from a simple drug possession case to an international drug trafficking case. And now El Chapo is in Supermax. And so they want to import a workforce that will not be compelled to tell what happened, because those people are not trying to go home. When you're employing Americans, of course, they're going to say whatever they have to say to go back to their families. These people have no ties here. So I believe that this is just a new imported workforce to work in the street culture.
Yeah, because a lot of these migrants, they come over, they commit a crime, they're released, and then they're ghost criminals, and they can change their name.
Voila. And go to another space and do it over and over again.
And are a lot of the migrants here making up Social Security card numbers to work? And are they receiving Social Security cards?
No. Well, they've caught them with fake Social Security cards. There was this one guy they caught. They said that they found his card, and in the back it had like the stick. They had the watermark where he had like literally printed it offline. Really? So they're doing everything. They've already found illegal ID meals over in different neighborhoods. So this is an ongoing thing. We've been a sanctuary city for a long time. So we, in a way, have perfected falsifying documents, getting people who are here illegally ways to work. And so people know, because we already have that infrastructure to serve them, this is the best place for them to come.
And with the Chicago being a sanctuary city, the 3 years before this, before Joe Biden became president, would you guys see migrants outside panhandling?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. This is brand new for us. I think that Jim Crow Joe has not only decimated the country, but especially Chicago, because we are being flooded with these people. And our mayor said yesterday that we could take up to 400,000 of them.
And can you guys take up for them?
Absolutely not. We don't have space for them. We have people here in Chicago who have been waiting on the Chicago Housing Authority on their waiting list for over 20 years. The Chicago Housing Authority is hoarding over $1 billion of federal housing funds, while our people are parked in Iowa and Wisconsin and all these other spaces. So until we can figure out how to get our people back in the housing that they were promised, we have no space, no vacancy for anybody else in Chicago. Our people need to be housed.
Yeah, I've heard that obviously there's spent over $300 million on the migrants.
Yes, illegal immigrants. These are not migrants.
Pardon, illegal immigrants. And I was talking to some other people, and they said that Southside Chicago, a lot of other places were also always asking for money.
Yes.
And they could never get it, but then there was $300 million brought up out of thin air, right?
Yes. We've been hearing my entire life that the city doesn't have money, that the resources are not there, that they have to figure out ways to pay for things. And they pull money out of the thin air for people who are not supposed to be here. It's not fair. And I think that is really what's going to turn Chicago politically, because they can see how these liberal policies are affecting us in ways that are deeply disrespectful.
Yeah, with what you said right there, do you think more people are going to be switching from blue to red this year more than ever?
Absolutely. We have old people, young people, white, black, Hispanic, Asian, and other. All of these people have decided that what has happened in Chicago is way too disrespectful. I think that Mayor Brandon Johnson is the greatest recruiter for the Republican Party in the country right now.
And do people like the mayor?
No, not at all. His approval rating is 23%. And I want people to know that Black Chicago did not put him in office. A lot of times people say, well, Chicago voted via race and you get what you vote for. Brandon Johnson won 0 Black wards during the primary. So this is not our fault. This is the North Side and the progressives and that white liberal scene that put him into play. And no, we've never been disrespected like this in our lives.
Who voted for him then?
So the second time during the general election, that's when he did get the votes. And that's only because he went against Paul Vallis. Paul Vallis is the former CEO of the Chicago Public Schools. He was the CEO in the 90s. So people who have kindergarten, 5th grade, 6th grade, 8th grade, or high school diplomas signed by Paul Vallis, we're not voting for Paul Vallis. We see him as the catalyst that began to crash the Chicago Public Schools. So it's not necessarily that people wanted Brandon, but they were voting against Vallis.
against Vallis. And then do you think that I've always wondered with these cities that are letting all these migrants in between like Gavin Newsom, obviously Joe Biden, do you think people like the Mayor Johnson, do you think they're making money from potentially cartel members or?
So I brought General Flynn on my show. I had a very popular radio show, Black Excellence Hour. We're still live, but I was on WVON here in the city. WVON is the oldest Black radio station in the country. The call letters stand for Voice of the Negro. Martin Luther King had a show on there, Barack Obama, Brandon Johnson, and me. So this is a very politically influential station. I brought General Flynn on my show, General Michael Flynn, the former National Security Advisor, and he told us here in Chicago that our government has been compromised by the cartel. They have been paid off. They are a $1 billion criminal organization. And of course, we could come to a conclusion that they're paying for this. This is a town where money talks. And absolutely. And I believe that's why when we asked the city council to give us the sanctuary city ordinance, the aldermen voted no. Now, we didn't ask them to take it away. We asked them for the choice to vote on it, and they wouldn't even give us the choice. And I believe that's because they've been compromised.
They've been compromised from inside.
Project Hail Mary is a blockbuster families can enjoy together.
Thumbs up, baby.
It's a genuinely transformative experience.
How do you know when the hug is done?
You just feel it. This is one for the ages. Project Hail Mary, rated PG-13.
They don't want you to know how toxic this is. If you're buying produce from the grocery store, you need to see this.
And how can you like drain the swamp to say?
We are going red. You know, you understand? We're done. We said that the blues gave Chicago the blues. We are done with those people. We are moving on. We want people to put on their gym shoes, tie them up real tight, and run to the right. Because if we don't, we're going to be on reservations. Like this is the last hurrah for us and our people. We have to understand that when Rahm Emanuel, who is really the villain of the story, Rahm Emanuel in 1998 became vice chair. No, at first he was working with Bill Clinton. He and Andrew Cuomo, who was then HUD secretary, worked to manipulate the standards for HUD in Chicago when it came to CHA. So Chicago demolished 99% of their housing projects, displacing over 100,000 people. They got $1 billion from the feds to rebuild, but CHA hoarded the money and let those people leave. So we lost 100,000 with public housing. Then during the housing crisis, Ron became mayor of Chicago because while the projects were being torn down, he left the White House, came to Chicago, and became vice chair of the Chicago Housing Authority to oversee those demolitions. Then he became mayor of Chicago, and during the housing crisis, he brought those same cranes to middle-class Black Chicago and demolished our housing stock. So now we lost another, let's say, 150,000 people. So this has been an ongoing move to move Black Chicago out because we know that Black people, we are the second largest ethnicity in this country. We are not immigrants. All of us can vote. All of us are qualified to vote, and they know the power of the Black vote here. We're the reason that Richard Nixon was president in 1968. And I think they've been working very hard since that 68 election to weaken our vote.
Why do they want to push you guys out? What would be the reason for that?
Because we can't be contained. Right now, the whole conversation is around immigrants. Every time someone says immigrants, they're saying not you Black people, not you Negroes, because we're not immigrants. And so now the move with the labor movement has been to raise the wages. And so once the wages were raised, here in our blue collar town, now they don't want to pay the $15. Now they don't want to pay the $20. So they want to push out the people who are qualified to earn those wages and bring in new people who will work for a lower wage.
And they don't even have to have papers, right?
Voila, yes.
They don't have to pay taxes.
Mm-hmm. And so now you see there are multiple factories closing. There are multiple factories closing around the city. Once they raised the minimum wage, and then when Trump was in office, he raided all the factories, got them out, put Americans in. Now they're closing because they don't want to pay. You see, this is all corporate. The corporate world married the government to disenfranchise Black people and stagnate our wealth because we're citizens.
Sounds like it's a bunch of planned chaos that's going on right now. And today we went to a Home Depot, and in Home Depot there was one side that was filled with immigrants, illegal immigrants who had just came over, and then the other side was Mexican Americans, and then between us was the police. Do you think there's going to be a new, like a division between races now, like a new racism that almost comes up from this crisis that they're creating?
I wouldn't say it's a racism, because one thing that I've seen, I haven't seen my city this united since the 96 Bulls. Everybody is against this. Again, every race, socioeconomic class, we have all concluded that we don't want this anymore. However, I think that there could be I don't want to call it xenophobic because that's like too strong of a word, but it's going to be Americans versus everybody else.
Yeah.
I think that they thought that the Hispanic community up here would welcome these people with open arms, and they did not. It's funny because, again, I was on the black station, and the Mexican guy called. He said, P. Ray, I want to let you all know on behalf of Mexican Chicago, we're not okay with this either, and we're standing 10 toes down. Whenever you guys have something, we're coming too, cuz. I'm like, all right, come through. Another guy called, P. Ray, I'm calling on behalf of Polish Chicago. We don't like it either. We want to let our black brothers in Chicago know that we stand with them too. So we are united against this. So I think that on the American side, we haven't had as many racial issues because we now know that we're in the middle of an invasion, and we have to push all of that to the side for now. Once we get this going, then we can get back to whatever our beefs are, but in the meantime, in between time, one flag, one people, one nation under God, and we got to save ourselves, because these people, we do not know who's here. And it's not just the Venezuelans. Al-Qaeda put out an article in 2021 because they do their publications, and they talked about doing lone wolf attacks, and they talked about getting trucks, driving them into people, blowing it up. But the backdrop for that was the Chicago skyline. That was the picture that they used in the article. So we've already been identified as an Al-Qaeda target. And now we have an open border, and we have a magnet on the Sears Tower, or now the Willis Tower, that's attracting illegal immigration from all over the world to the city of Chicago, because they know once they get here, we're going to house you, we're going to feed you, we're going to clothe you, we're going to give you medical care, we're going to take care of your children, we're going to give you a stipend, we're going to let you drive, we're going to give you a cell phone. If you're some angry person, on the other side of the earth, why wouldn't I break my back to get to Chicago?
It makes literally perfect sense why anyone would want to come to Chicago, and specifically in America in general, with what's going on. And so with the migrants, and they're able to get these cards, they're able to drive, and I imagine that they obviously don't have licenses because they're not American citizens, but they're able to drive here on the streets. And
yeah, so they're allowing them to drive. They don't have insurance. They don't have licenses. Here in Chicago, in order to graduate from the Chicago public high schools, you have to take driver's ed. So we know how to drive here, right? They teach you all the Chicago driving standards, how to parallel park. And we have this thing called dibs. So like when it snows, you can like put your chair outside, and that's like your parking space. I mean, we have our little Chicago driving culture. They don't know. They don't know. They don't speak English. They don't know how to read the signs. It's dangerous. Yeah. But the city, instead of them saying it's dangerous, we don't want them to drive, now they're figuring out ways to get driver's licenses for non-citizens. How? How can this work? Every aspect of our safety and security has been compromised by this.
Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense. And I can only conclude that they don't want us here. Not just Black people, but Americans as a whole.
Just because it's cheaper labor.
Yes.
Everything revolves around money, right?
Yes.
And while we've been driving, we've seen a ton of cars without any stickers, anything like that.
Now, if I had a car with no stickers, no plates, no anything, they're going to pull me over. They're going to pull me out of my car, put the cuffs on me, and take me to the station, fingerprint me, and take my mugshot. And then I'm going to end up on the Chicago Mugshot Facebook page, right? But this is not happening to them overall. I mean, they are arrested, but then there's no accountability because we have no way to trace them.
And another concern that you brought up about people coming in, and I've talked to a lot of people in New York City as well, and they already believe that, like, for instance, like Hamas is in New York City and they're planning something. Do you think in the near future we can see something like 9/11 happening in the big cities in perhaps Chicago or New York City?
Yes. Like I said, Al-Qaeda has already identified us as a target. Nothing against the Palestinian people at all, but Chicago has the largest Palestinian population in the country. So we can ascertain that, at least one person out of that group is going to be angry, or may want to do violent things. And now we can have this target on us. We're literal sitting ducks here. And it's not fair that our government wants to virtue signal so much that it compromises our safety and security. We didn't ask for this. And there's nothing that we can do about it. Every time we try to stop it, we're stopped by members of the government, like they did us in City Hall with the ordinance.
Sounds like everything's going against the Chicago people, and against the Black community, and against everybody here.
Yes.
And with the elections coming up in 2024, what do you think will happen if Donald Trump doesn't win?
If Donald Trump does not win, Chicago is going to go and spiral into a deeper chaos.
Do you think there will be rioting? Do you think there's potential that civil war could break out, or protests? Or
I don't think a war or protest, just because Chicago people are so used to being mistreated by our government. The Cook County Board of Elections, it's kind of funny organization. We just had an election, 2 weeks ago, and it took them 10 days to count the ballots for the state's attorney. What the world, then they found 10,000 ballots in a room. It's all kind of little funny, weird stuff.
And then once they're all working with the cartel, it makes everything starts making sense.
Voila. So our goal is to get as many people to vote Donald Trump so that there is no wiggle room, If we can get 50-60% of the people to come out and vote for him, then they can't steal it. And I believe, just based on what I'm hearing, people are gonna vote Trump. I'm talking about young people, old people, especially the young people, because you have to remember, if you're 20, 21, you were born at the tail end of Obama, which was, an economic decline.
Yeah.
Then you were there during the Trump years, which were great, up until COVID. And now we have Jim Crow Joe, and you can see the decline. The young people are saying, bring back Trump. We miss, the good life. We miss people going on vacation. We miss having money. They also say Trump gave us those stimmies, they call it, where are the stimmies, Jim Crow Joe? He does not care about us. He's only focusing on illegals. And it's offensive to us because I'm an 8th generation American. And here in Chicago, our grandparents are from Mississippi. So we've heard all of the Mississippi horror stories. Oh, I chopped so much cotton, I thought my hand was going to fall off. Oh, I heard it was work in Chicago. I didn't even put on shoes. I ran to Chicago so fast, right? So we've heard these stories our whole lives about how our people really worked in this country and struggled to give us what we have here. They worked in these factories around the city, standing on their feet, 12-hour shifts to give us 2 flats to live in so that we could raise our families. So for us to see them actively trying to take that away from us, it is offensive. And the way that you fight offense is by getting away from people. We don't have to fight, argue, and fuss with you. We have choices. And the choice is to go red.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you for your time. And where can the people check you out at?
I am on Twitter at PRAEBEH, like Black Excellence Hour at PRAEBEH. You can also find me on Facebook at Black Excellence Hour, a show for people with high self-esteem, Sundays at 7 p.m. And we have a ball. We are emancipating the people. We do not have to accept this. We deserve better. This is America. This is America. And in America, Americans are in charge. Also, you can find me at Chicago Red. So that's our political action committee group. Chicago Red's goal, or the mission, is to preserve the sovereignty of Americans and get our people away from the liberal failure that's leaving us behind. And you can find me at chicagored.org, chicagored.org. You can see our programs. You can see our activities, what we're doing. We're actively out here. The people are receiving us. The people want something new, and we have it for them. Remember, put on your gym shoes, tie them up real tight, and run to the right.
Okay, so that one just came out, but it seemed like that's an old one. But I don't think I've never seen that one. Anybody seen that one? They said it just came out 11 hours ago. So I got another one from their TikTok lady, 4 minutes. And hey, Yeah, we got a new lady that we follow that does 3-minute clips. She's really good too. There's a few good ones on TikTok with good intel. Got a lot of views. I'm gonna play her coming up soon. We will be getting to our YouTube lady shortly. But we're gonna play this one here. This one's 3.5 on this one, Lucy.
Or if you have seen the video footage of the illegal Haitian down in Florida, what he did to the gas station attendant lady, it just happened this month. It has upset me so bad. The actual full video is on Instagram. I'm going to put a screenshot of how you can find it here at the end. Absolutely, you cannot put this on TikTok. I mean, they would ban your account. Guys, I'm going to tell you something. If you are not carrying by now, I don't know what to say. It's on you. This woman, I'm going to sum it up for you. This woman is working at a gas station. This illegal goes up to her car that's parked right there by the store, takes a hammer. In the whole video, you see it. He's just smashing, and you can hear the sounds. He's smashing the hammer, and he's smashing the hammer. I mean, he's smashing the windshield. He's smashing the windshield, and he's going, Well, of course, she hears it. She walks outside. I don't know what she says. I can't understand. I think she basically was like, hey, what are you doing? He comes up to her, and I don't know why this woman did not run. I don't know why she did not run. She just stands there, and he takes that hammer, and he hits her square in the face with it. And she falls straight back, and when she does, he gets on top of her with a hammer, and he's just beating her in the face and beating her in her body over and over. I mean, I think he killed her the first strike. And then the video keeps running, and then the little music comes off of the gas station. You know, when you pull up, they play an advertisement. And then I guess like a guy rides up on his bicycle, and he looks over there, and he goes, damn. And he's looking around. And it's the most horrific thing. It's literally witnessing somebody murdering somebody with a hammer. And this woman, if she had been carrying, I'm sure the store has no guns allowed. If she'd have been carrying, how would this have ended? If she'd have locked her doors and called the cops, but instead she walks out to confront him with nothing. Guys, this is so horrific. Please, you have to carry. This is broad daylight at a gas station. They're fucking crazy. And the only thing they think about is unaliving and graping. And we're not getting them out fast enough. They're not getting out fast enough. And we've got these fucking people that are now wanting to give amnesty to illegals, and they're going to open up the border. Do you realize that it's like Trump is standing behind a door, and the door is cracked open, and Trump has his foot on the door? That is where we are right now, guys. That is where we are. He is the only thing keeping us from total destruction, and it's coming. It's coming. Look at what's going on in Michigan.
Don't say that.
It's from within, guys. We are destroying ourselves from within. If you have not gotten saved, you need to get saved. I'm telling you, this whole crap has changed my life. I realize what's going on now. We're not going back, guys. Good evening, everybody. I don't know.
Wow, that was a powerful one there tonight on that one. She mentioned Michigan, huh? Well, it looks like my state will be next. Real sad story on that one. Okay. Guess what one is next?
We're on the celebrity cam.
The Active Cash credit card from Wells Fargo. Terms apply.
With hotels and vacation rentals, Booking.com has something for everyone.
me? She has $20 that was given to her by another patron.
15 minutes.
That she said, I don't think I have enough money, so they gave her a 20. So she has a 20 in her possession that was given to her from somebody else here to help her pay.
Interesting.
But she didn't give any info to Moxley.
All right, so imagine turning an $8 Applebee's bill into a full-blown arrest on a city bus. I don't know if I want to, but that's what we're taking a look at today. Because we have a woman who had multiple chances to fix a situation, and instead she chose to play dead, literally.
Another exciting day at Applebee's, huh?
Yeah.
Uh-oh, Applebee's.
How you doing? Did you just leave Applebee's? No. Well, they were pointing at you. Huh? Were you Applebee's? They're saying that. You sure? Oh, okay. Hey, how you doing? This is Officer Camacho with the Dallas Police Department. So one of your employees was pointing out a person that ran out on the tab, but they said the female that's underneath the tent is not in a scooter. There is a heavyset female that's on a scooter over here by the Suntrans stop. So I'm trying to confirm what did the person look like.
Okay, 1 second.
Well, I am not trying to sound judgy here. I am really not, okay? But this woman is clearly identifiable. She is a heavyset woman on a scooter. Pretty easy to identify, I think. And the fact that this police officer walked up and was like, were you just in Applebee's? No. Methinks she was in the Applebee's.
Applebee's.com. For hours of operation, specials, and address, please press 1. To place an order, please press 2.
She gone. She gone. Oh, she probably thinks she got away with it. She probably thinks that she got away with it. All she had to do was say no. A couple of times the police stepped away. She hopped her happy ass on that bus, and now she gone.
Thank you for calling Applebee's Ocala. This is Zach.
Hey, it's Officer Camacho. I got disconnected. I was trying to figure out the description on the female that ran out on y'all.
Is her scooter still over there? Her scooter was still over there. Wait, is she still there? The bus literally stopped where her scooter was, but her scooter is still there. Did she leave it? I'm so confused right now. Is that not her scooter?
Y'all's tab.
Yes, sir. That is her. And my server that she walked out on says she'll have like a design by her eye, like makeup design.
Okay. All right. So is the heavyset female then?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, I gotta run down the bus. All right. All right, thank you.
Okay, so it was her. She did get on the bus. He's running down the bus to stop it now. But why is the scooter still there? I'm so confused by the scooter. Was that not her scooter? Like, I know that, like, here, and I'm sure in a lot of major cities, there's, like, scooters that you can rent, and you, like, ride around town, and you pay by the hour or whatever. But that was, like, a motorized cart scooter, like someone would have that they would use on a regular basis. Do they have those for people to, like, shuttle their ass around town in some places too? I don't know. Let me know down in the comments. Is it the same kind of thing as like the scooters that you can ride on in big cities? Or do they have those that you can rent too? She literally left the scooter on the side of the road. Or is that her scooter and she just hopped onto this bus to get the out of there because she knew the cops were going to come for her ass? Could go either way. Could go either way.
66 made contact with the caller. Everything's 10-4. 10-4.
the other 911 officers across the street that ours are kind of.
Yes, sir. So sorry. Come on. Let's go. Come on. Let's go.
Yeah, it's 14.
Listen, this can go really easy or it can go bad for you. You decide how you want to do it. Yeah. Ma'am, let's go. All you got to do is pay whatever you ate, and that's it. Ma'am, I don't want to have to drag you out of here. Come on. 5311, okay?
This guy, this guy's like, I'm getting out of here. I don't want any part of this. I got an appointment to get to. Who knows how long it's going to take before he gets her ass off the bus. I'm GTFO. Sayonara. See you later.
Can I get 55 in front of Calla Hills? I got somebody that just skipped out on a bill from Applebee's, and I got it.
Oh yeah, no, everybody's getting off. I must have missed the part where the police officer was like, everybody needs to go. Everybody needs to get out of here. Maybe he didn't say it. Maybe I didn't miss it. Maybe everybody is just like instinctually saying, we got to go. We're like, this is not our fight. We got to get out of here. And they are vacating the bus so that he can deal with this woman.
Detained over here. They boarded a bus. Ma'am, let's go.
10-4 back. We're out the area of Calla Hill, service of 32.
Let's go. I don't want to hurt you. Come on. The person's just acting like they're asleep. They're refusing to move. Ma'am, let's go. Ma'am, let's go. Ma'am, come on. Let's go. Ma'am, let's go. All you got to do is pay what you owe them, and you're not going to go to jail.
I'm sorry, but there's no way he's getting her off that bus by himself. There's no way. I'm not trying to sound mean, but she is a very heavyset woman. There's no way that he is getting her off that bus by himself. She's going to dead fish it, and he's going to have no choice but to just either wait for reinforcements or roll her out. I don't know.
Keep resisting. I'm going to charge you with a resisting, and I'm going to take you to jail. You understand that? Do you understand that? Staying quiet is not going to change what's going to happen, okay?
Do you think she's trying to like manifest him away? And she's sitting there, go away. I'm not getting arrested. He's not even here. When I open my eyes, I will be at my destination.
People waste 1,400 hours a year scrolling on their phones. With Purdue Global, you can turn that time into a degree, and maybe even quicker than you thought possible. I'll show you.
No. She skipped on a tab on Applebee's.
Well, that's basically stealing.
Yeah, it is super simple. Super simple. All she got to do is pay. She won't go to jail, but she wants to keep playing games. But she decided to skip on the check. Simple. All they wanted was for her to pay. I made contact with her when she was at the bus stop. She's like, no, I wasn't at Applebee's, and they were not 100%. So I called the info. They're like, no, yes, it was her, and she got decided on the eye. So I come in, and now she's acting like she's asleep. She don't want to move, and I'm gonna hurt her trying to pull her out of here.
Sig's about to pull up, so we can have all three.
That's her bag, and I'm telling her like, listen, stop acting, because it's as simple as you pay up, and there's no harm, no foul.
Yeah.
But now I'm gonna take her for resisting, and it's on her. I don't get why people got to do stuff like that.
Yeah. Can we talk about this real quick? This can go a lot easier if you just talk to us, okay? Nobody wants to hurt you.
10 to 13 hotel, 1098.
Can you tell us your name?
13. She was fine when I talked to her at the bus station. As soon as she seen me bored, that's what she did.
Yeah.
I mean, if I got to book her as Jane Doe, that's what it's gonna be. Not what I really want to do. Swear to God, bro. So she ran out of the tab. Employee comes out, points in the direction she's in. I make contact with her. She says, no, I wasn't in Applebee's. They didn't have the full description perfectly. The other person came out, described her to a T, to including the little tattoo design on the eye. So I saw her board the bus, so I stopped the bus. I get in, now she's acting like she's asleep. I'm telling her, listen, all they want is pay the tab, no harm, no foul. I gave her a bunch of chances, talk to me. If not, I'm going to charge you with resistance. At this point, this is where we're at. But limited space and mediocre, I don't want to hurt her, but I mean, at this point,
Yeah,
he tried. Yeah, at this point, she is definitely for resistance.
Probably need a second. Ma'am, you understand you're being arrested?
We'll probably need another pair.
48, white male, 50 years of age, jeans, shorts, gray or green, muscle shirt, tattoos from the neck down, Kelly.
Yeah, we're gonna need definitely another pair.
I mean, is she exercising her right to remain silent? Is that what this has been the whole time? And if she's just choosing to be quiet and not answer questions, why are her eyes closed? I mean, this is weird. This is really, really weird. It's literally an $8 Applebee's tab, and she has the money to pay it. So why is she not paying it?
Ma'am, stand up.
You don't want you hurting yourself. You don't want you hurting any officers. Stand up.
Stand up.
Stand up.
Stand up. We don't want to hurt you. Stand up.
Stand up.
Stand up. Come on. We don't want to drag you out.
Get
here.
up.
Just stand up.
Come on.
1, 2, 3. Stand.
Come on.
Stand
Come
up.
on.
All the way.
Get up. Yes, you can.
Stand all the way up.
400 some pounds.
Come on. You can get up.
3. Stand up. 1, 2, 3.
Come on.
Let's go. There you go.
There you go.
There you go.
Thank you. Is this her bag?
Yeah, that's her bag. Thank you.
Ma'am, do you have anything on you that's illegal? Any weapons or anything? We don't want you going into the jail with anything because it becomes a bigger problem once you get to the jail. Is there anything illegal on you?
Big step. There you go. We'll help you in. There you go.
The suspect was apprehended and taken to the county jail for skipping on her tab at Applebee's. Charged with inkeeping and resisting arrest.
Yeah. She should have just paid it. Why? Why? And I just want to say that mugshot is something else. Oh, it's not a good look. It's not a good look. That's the thing that I don't understand.
How long will she stay in jail, you guys? What is that a minor? You think she'll get out in 30 days or? So I'm going to try to get 2 penny ones and then John Downing one I'm going to do next. I guess I won't play the short ones till tomorrow. I want to get these 3 big one here. I think everybody likes that John Downing, I think.
Hello and welcome to Nick V Uncensored. Today we've got John Dowling and we're going to be talking about the final attack from Israel. John, thank you so much for joining me. How are you and what have you been up to?
Good to see you, Nick. Always a pleasure. Happy April. The time just continues to whittle away quickly. I've just been trying to keep up with everything as usual, and there's no shortage of events, which we'll talk about in a little bit. I'm embroiled in the middle of a move as well. So a lot on my plate. How are you doing?
Yeah, very good. I'm very good. I'm very, excited with what's going on. Obviously, the reason why Trump was very hard with Iran from all the research that I've been doing is because Iran is
we'll see you
being run by a dictatorship rogue government. And for the last 47 years, the people of Iran have been enslaved. I've got some Iranian friends in the UK, and they tell me that their family in Iran have been hoping and wishing that Trump is going to take down the Iranian regime. The BBC and obviously CNN, they want to make it look like Trump's going crazy. But actually, there's lots of big protests, pro-Trump protests in Iran who are thanking Trump for getting involved. They're saying that we're willing to suffer, do what you got to do, and we're willing to suffer so that we can end this regime in Iran, so that we, the people in Iran, can be freed. Again, this is a 47-year-old war in Iran, and the West is not talking about this at all. And obviously, now that Trump is saying that him and Iran have come to an agreement that they're going to talk about a deal and that there's going to be peace in the Middle East, and this could be the golden age of the Middle East as well. What do you think about that?
Well, there's a lot to uncover in what you said, Nick. Let's start at the top. You said something key, what you just said about the year struggle. What was the number you said?
Sorry?
47. You said 47.
Oh, yeah, 47 years.
Who's the 47th president right now?
Yeah, Donald J. Trump.
He wants his name on this, is what I'm getting at. And so there's parallels. This isn't the real Netanyahu we're seeing. This is a double or a triple, who knows? But he's being used as a pawn. They're going to paint Israel is being set for last. I think we can see that at this point pretty clearly now. So what I think is we're going to see Bibi play the bad guy. They've done 3 attacks around the perimeter of the Bishur power plants. That's the main one. We're waiting for the last one. They're not going to be happy about a ceasefire agreement. So I think that you've now basically angered the hornet's nest, proverbially speaking, and I'm just waiting for them to do their final attack.
Absolutely. Let's get into that. So a lot of people have been saying that Trump has been fighting Israel's war with Iran. I'm thinking, what's the correlation between the Israeli government and the Iranian government? Are they friends? Are they not friends? And if so, I mean, they both seem bad. When people think of the Israeli government, they're quite, they've got, Mossad. They're quite, obviously, they're deep state. But is Iran kind of their own deep state?
Well, okay, so first of all, this is a script. So this thing has already been dealt with. It's already been played out. This is optics for the normies who don't dig like we do or know what we know to the extent that we know and have been following this blessing/investment for a while. What does the Bible say? The Bible says that we are not supposed to go by physical eyes, but spiritual eyes. So that means it's a discernimental issue, right? I think a lot of that has already been dealt with, as I said, but there needs to be certain processes that need to be carried out. You and I talked about this offline, Nick, so I'll touch on it briefly. They settled on a 12-point peace plan, which doesn't really mean much, except for 2 key things. Number one, that the Iranian proxy regime has now been defunded. So you've essentially cut the hydra off the head of the snake. So the funding is gone. They can't do much, relegates them useless. The second key thing for our investment blessing is that the sanctions are coming off of Iran, which is huge, because that's going to make Iran post-RV very powerful, but that's going to free up the rial or in-country Toman outside. And once the big brother, meaning Iran, is freed up, then Iraq will be freed up as well. Everybody will be looking in the media as the grave mistake when this thing hits. They won't be looking at Iraq, who will form an emergency government overnight because they've already had it sitting there, pass all the important laws, the small notes and coins, and the coveted hydrocarbon HCl gas law 140. We've all been waiting. So a lot of people think that's the agitator. No, the agitator is the power plants, because it creates that Kim Clement prophecy distraction, which allows Iraq to be freed up accordingly.
What did Kim Clement say about Iran, about the people of Iran will be freed? I remember him saying something like that about the Iranian people. Did he tie that in with Iraq as well, like with their currency?
He said there'll be a break in the Middle East, the financial system in the Middle East, the dinar, and other countries. This is part people leave out to your question, and Southeast Asian countries, which I have an article about, which refers to Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia, and all those countries in that respective region.
Absolutely. It's very interesting. This was back in when, 2007, that Kim Clement, who is no longer with us, he prophesized this. I think it was,
April 2007, April 7th of 2007, he talked about seeing a man with hot blood that was not a believer would become a praying man, the highest seat in the land, basically Trump. And then he talked about between 2009 onward, the break in the financial system. So yeah, almost north of 17, 20 years. Yeah.
And this is huge because this is a wealth transfer of power from the elites to we the people. Now, what do I mean by that? The currencies in the Middle East are very weak. They've been very weak due to deep state corruption with currency manipulators. So if you could buy their currencies for peanuts because their currencies are very, very weak. And now we're coming to a stage where we'll all be on a level playing field. So a lot of people are holding the Iraqi dinar, the Vietnamese dong, the Iranian rial, many, many currencies, foreign currencies. And when it goes level playing field, when their rate revalues to level playing field, we will be able to exchange that back into dollars or pounds, depending when you are. And we will have a lot of money that will go into the hands of the good people like us, where we can put back into the communities and rebuild the new earth. And this is called the transfer wealth of power from the deep state to we the people. And this is what all of this is about. We've seen it with the Kuwaiti dinar back in 91, where after the Gulf War, they revalued back to their original rate, where it was $3 something before the Gulf War. And many people had made a lot of money overnight. Okay. John, do you want to share your screen and tell us, is there anything you want to add to that before we go into your presentation?
No, I mean, it's the global reset. So it's leveling the playing field. So you have people, for example, Nick, that, Mahoney talks about this a lot. We both had him on, and how he travels almost religiously around the world. He's a well-heeled traveler. And he's been in Vietnam. He talks about how the prices in Vietnam are exponentially lower than in Spain or here in major cities throughout the US where I am. And that's going to change because the elites are going to level the playing field so that the cost of living will basically be level wherever you go so that people can't game the system. But in doing so, it brings up tremendously the value of these currencies, which are suppressed or deemed to be worthless or actually priceless, because the US dollar actually has no value, but these other currencies do, because they're going to level up their currencies and assets in the ground. That's the one thing I would add. Yes, let me show you some screenshots and some articles that we pulled up. Just give me a moment here, please.
And while you're doing that, I just want to let the viewers know that if anyone is looking for foreign currencies, the Iraqi dinar, Vietnamese dong, a lot of people have been asking. So I'm going to leave the link below in the description. And I use them, and we know this company, and they're very good. So I'm just putting that there.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I'll start with this and work backwards. So on the heels of the quote-unquote ceasefires, Nick, Israel pounds Lebanon with heaviest airstrikes as the Hezbollah pauses attacks. And that's the key word right there, pauses. That's all this is. We don't know what day or anything like that. But it is interesting, Nick. I will say on this, I have a lot of friends and family in the military, and they always tell me summarily the news cycle activity typically happens for whatever reason. I don't know, maybe somebody in your audience knows, between Tuesday and Thursday. Not coincidentally, we had this happen yesterday at we'll call it the 11th hour, late 8 o'clock East Coast time. And so this is interesting that they're attacking other areas while they buy time to attack those power plants, we believe, the Bashir ones in Iraq. Okay, let's see. Let me go over here. Breaking on X, Savkadzedesh. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but give me some real folks. Breaking: Swedish officials are meeting with His Majesty Reza Pahlavi, who is set to deliver a speech in the Swedish Parliament. You see him going around. He was at CPAC recently in America. So he's being widely touted as the most likely successor, if they keep him alive, God willing, for Iran when this whole regime change, which we think has already happened, but optically speaking, occurs.
Mm-hmm.
Mossad commentary now. Iranian media reports explosions have been heard on Karg Island. Some people believe that's Trump's gift. Others feel that is a significant choke point as extenuation of the Bashir nuclear power plants. Use your own discernment accordingly. Let's see here. Vietnam government shall comprise 14 ministries and 3 ministerial level agencies. And why is that significant? Because of this. New prime minister promises to build incorruptible, because we know they're corrupt over there right now with communism, disciplined, steadfast, and responsible government. In his oath remarks, Prime Minister Lee Myung-hung promised to build a modern government to serve the people. That sounds like Trump, right? We the people?
Yes.
So as this China-Taiwan conflict starts to continue to bubble to the surface after this Iran regime change with Iraq happens, we believe this is waiting in the wings. It's probably why Trump delayed meeting with Xi on the Republic side until, I think, May 14th, which is about 5 weeks from now, give or take. So they probably are going to wrap this thing up in April, and then he'll deal with China, Taiwan, while all these other events we're waiting on have already occurred. Timing is key. But you can see that they're putting out comms about, Vietnam breaking free from communism. And they have already, as we said last month, Nick, they've already openly stated that they want to back their economy by silver. That includes the Vietnamese dong that we referred to before, hugely significant for what we're all anticipating. Okay, this is another video I just want to show you real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Bujok, when they turn off the internet, which will be blamed on Iran, industries, businesses, hospitals, banking, and other critical infrastructure that rely on internet, will be essentially blackmailed into accepting the mandatory digital ID for internet access to resume operations. They claim new AI-protected internet infrastructure will protect Iranian hackers, but it's really a sign of the digital ID, particularly problematic in areas where you live, Nick, in Europe and throughout the Middle East. I mean, we're going to have to fight that here in the U.S. because that is still going to be the agenda of the enemy. But we have certain things that you don't have, unfortunately, like the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, and weapons, munitions in the hands of we the people, unlike, unfortunately, parts of the rest of the world. But I'll just play this brief clip for you.
There could well be a world-shaking cyber attack this year that would get people's attention. It sounds like you agree with that.
I think that's totally possible. Yes, I think to avoid that, it will require a tremendous amount of work. Also, in a sort of resilient style approach. Again, it's not just like make one AI model safe. It is defenders. We have this thing called the Trusted Access Program. Other companies have other things, but cybersecurity companies, the major platforms, the governments using this technology to try to rapidly secure their systems, the open source stack, all of that. That's quite important now.
Okay, so you might be asking yourself, Nick, well, if we're thwarting that here in America, why is that significant? Because they need a cover story. A cyber attack would give the banks the cover story as a distraction for the public while the reset's happening. You see, moves and counter moves. Courtesy of our friend, Brother Joe Williams, who did some great research on this. I have him on my podcast monthly. He's great. Let me know when this comes up on your end. Can you see it okay?
Yeah.
Okay, Paul White, Gold Eagle, Vex, boom. U.S. Senate, U.S. Senate, not the House, but the Senate, with Tim Scott there prominently pointed in the center of my cursor, passed a bill to ban the Fed from creating a CBDC until 2030. That's huge for XRP. I know you're a fan of that, Nick, as am I. This is the new infrastructure of the X blockchain system for the new financial system. So they need the cyber attack we just talked about a moment ago as the cover to bring in the new system, right? So people would say, well, then I'm not saying everybody, but some people might say, well, how do we know the currency is going to happen? because the banks need our physical digital physical currencies to exchange to bring in the new digital system. They can't complete it without that. So it's a glad handing or a means to an end. There's many ways to interpret this video I'm going to play. I still think we need to fight against CBDCs because that is an agenda, especially over there in Europe. But here in America, we definitely need to fight it because the enemy's not going to quit. Other people think that this system will go to the people, and it will, but the people have to fight for it. And that's what part of this wake-up operation ultimately entails. So take a quick listen, if you would, please.
Unanimous consent to resume the motion to proceed to calendar number 311, HR 7147.
Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. President.
The clerk will report.
Motion to proceed to calendar 311, HR 7147, and act making further consolidated appropriations for the fiscal year ending September 30, 2026 for further purposes.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have 4 requests for committees to meet during today's session of the Senate. They have the approval of the majority and minority leaders.
Duly noted.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, so notice that they won 89-10, so it was a pretty decisive victory as well. And then I'll show you this one last article before I turn it back to you, Nick. Translated in Arabic on X, urgent Iranian media power outage in some areas of the Kark after targeting transmission lines. So this is the power or the lines underneath the ocean that are being cut that you talked about with Mahoney the other day, sort of reinforcing that point on the back end, all ginning up the cyber attack discussion because they need a lot of moves and counter moves to make this transition to the new digital economic financial system.
Why do they need a cover story? Why don't they just do it and say that we're improving things, we're modernizing the banking system? Why do they need, you're saying that the white hats or the military is doing this on purpose to cut out the internet for how long? Maybe 10 days? 10 days of
the military,
darkness,
from people I've talked to, somewhere between, I don't know the answer to that, but the people I'm talking to say a range of 3 to 7 days consistently. The reason to your question is because 99% of the people have no idea about what we know. We're in the minority. They have to have a story that the people can accept to make this transition.
Yeah, but isn't 24 hours good enough? Why does it have to be 3 to 7 days? That will just stop people from being able to buy things with their cards or something.
They've got to wake people up. It's a wake-up operation. I mean, that's.
I think 24 hours is long. Even 48 hours of no internet access for the world.
I don't disagree with you, but that's above my pay grade. That's a seat above the table that I can't answer.
Yeah.
I mean, if it were for me, it'd be 1 hour, but we don't hold those cards.
So you're saying that after this point, people that are holding foreign currencies like the Iraqi dinar, the Vietnamese dong, can go to the banks, exchange them after that. They'll be revalued.
At some point, yeah.
And what would they revalue to? Would it be... I mean, I know I shouldn't ask you this because you don't like it, and I respect that.
Well, no, because it's not that, it's just that I'm not a date and rate guy.
I know you're not, yeah. I keep forgetting we're recording,
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. We know each other. It's fine. Yeah. And there's a certain level of transparency. I think it's good for the people to see. It's an honest conversation. I'm just not that guy. There are people that do that. That's fine. Whatever. My thing will continue to be inconsistency. The right question is, can God trust you from a heart level to do the right things with this money? Because if it's just about you, it isn't going to last. The whole point of this is generational legacy wealth.
I think the most conservative answer to give, if we had to say something, would be it would restore the rate that it was before. The rate.
Well,
what was the rate before?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Let's address some things we can actually concretely have touch points on. When Saddam Hussein was at the height of his power, before our deep state went in and fleeced his oil, and because he wouldn't go along with the central bank system, much like Saudi Arabia, right? Those are some of the few countries that stood up against our deep state dollar regime. It was $5 at its pantheon. That's concrete, not my opinion, just what is. When Bush Jr. did the executive order that allowed the people in late, was it September, October of 2003, when he allowed citizens to buy the dinar and opened up a gateway, initially meant for the military, but got opened up for the people, you would have to bring it back to current rate plus the rate of inflation, which is roughly 23 years.
And so it could be more. That's why I said conservative, because I didn't take into the consideration of the inflation.
Well, when you consider the fact that the dinar's got copious amounts of oil, gold, silver, diamonds, rubies, sapphires, many other things they don't tell us, because Middle Easterners don't tell the Westerners the truth. We know this. When you consider that XRP Ripple is going to be the gold standard, literally, of the blockchain system, and will be pegged to gold and tokenize it and make it even more valuable, right? It's going to bring the value of precious metals up, which brings the values of the currencies up. Everything works concurrently, is my point. I think it will surprise a lot of people just how well these currencies are going to do. I'll say that much.
Of course. And this is the wealth transfer of power. And again, the links below in the description for anyone else that wants to have access and get these currencies. It's good to spread your eggs in everywhere you can. Crypto, gold, silver, physical currency that's in your possession, not digitally. But this is what we do. But John, thank you very much for sharing everything with us today. It's been a great honor, like it is always. Is there anything else that we've missed out that you want to say to the viewers before we finish?
Just thank you for your time as always. I appreciate the privilege of your platform and the audience accordingly and their discernment. Stay prayed up, stay prepared up. This is going to be a suddenly moment. Nobody knows the date of the hour. It's going to be like that. And a lot of people say, like Kim Clement said, why now? But we need to be prepared to continue to take action, because this is the year of action in the golden age.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, John. And we'll speak again soon. You take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, I'm glad I had time to get that one in. I wasn't sure about that. I hope everybody liked that one. Looked like it was an important video to get out. So I'm glad I got a full show in today. Make up for it tomorrow. Hopefully we'll get back to regular 2-hour shows, because we'll probably be busy with more stuff. So thanks, mods, and Fine Eagle, Kay, Lucy, Tim, Carol, and Faith. Yep. Just keep an eye out, but I can't set a time no more. So each day now is going to be different times, because you don't know what's going to happen. So, but tomorrow we'll go. Hopefully, I can get it on first one at 12. So, everybody have a good night. And God bless everybody. Love all. Please like, and the new people, please go to the description and sub to the backup channels. Thank you. Stay safe, stay strong, get your faith, and our sign will be put up whenever we go up. And signing off for Wednesday night. Chico dude. We'll see you all tomorrow.